Today, we're going to be starting a brand new series on this channel, but one that some of my returning viewers might be familiar with. If you recall, in October, I did a short series grading the performances of the Milwaukee Brewers on a scale from A to F. Well, I'm going to do the very same thing with the Green Bay Packers now that their season is over. Unfortunately, the grading scale is the same, where A being fantastic, B being really good, C being average, D being disappointing, and F, why the heck are you still on the team? Those grades will be determined by how the player actually performed versus the expectations that we had going into the season for that player. So to start off, we're going to be doing two position groups that go well together, as you can't really have one without the other, and that are the quarterbacks and the offensive line. Before we get started into the grading, please consider subscribing to the channel for more news and analysis and reaction of the Packers, Brewers, and Bucks. This is probably going to be the hardest grade that I will be giving out in this series. Rodgers' season was a disappointment, especially compared to the last two seasons where he won back-to-back MVPs. But compared to other quarterbacks in the NFL, he still had a relatively successful season, as he was a general top 10 good, solid quarterback. The problem is we expect him to be a top 5, top 3 elite quarterback, as he has been for the majority of his career. The main problem that he had this season was the lack of consistency. Whether it was the overhaul of the wide receiver position, trading away Devontae Adams, getting a bunch of new guys in there, or the injuries to the Oline that had a revolving door, a different mashup of lineups throughout the season, the bad play call design from Matt LaFleur, his injury that I had to a thumb that impacted him halfway through the season, or just the plain regression as he ages. We forget, but Rodgers is old. He is going to be turning 40 in this offseason, and he's still putting up these really good, solid numbers. It's just that the usual Aaron Rodgers, that dangerous quarterback that keeps defensive honest, just wasn't there consistent enough. We still saw him pop up every once in a while where he would just make an absolute dime of a throw. But it just wasn't there enough to be enough of a threat, because defenses were now daring the Packers to throw the football, which has never happened under Rodgers. Overall, Rodgers finished with 3,695 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, a 64.6% completion percentage, and a quarterback rating passer rating of 91.1, which is the lowest of his career. I'm going to give Rodgers a grade of B-, as he definitely underperformed compared to our expectations of him, but was still an above average quarterback in regards to the overall NFL. For another year, we didn't get to see much of Jordan Love except in a couple of games where he was brought up for mop-up duty, which is not necessarily a good thing, as we have no idea what to really do with him in the upcoming season, as he's going into his 4th year. And if Rodgers stays on the team and we try to make another run, that's another year without knowing what Jordan Love has. And it's just very, very confusing for what is going on with Love. So that's a subject for a whole other video I might do later on, but it's just really hard to watch. He finished the year relatively well in his short sample size. He went 14-21 for 195 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions, and a passer rating of 112.2. There isn't really too much to judge him on this year, but I still want to include him in this video, as he is a very intriguing piece to the puzzle that we're going to have this offseason. So I give him a grade of C. Tom was absolutely fantastic in the games in which he played in this season. A 4th-round rookie out of Wake Forest, he did just about everything the Packers asked him to do on his own line. He came in for injuries halfway through the game and performed well. He started in place of injuries, And he even looked like he took over the starting right tackle position from veteran Josh Neiman when Neiman really struggled in his last couple of games this season. He made appearances at left tackle, left guard, right tackle. And overall, he played fantastic, committing 0 penalties and 489 snaps. And I'm giving him a grade of B+, as he was a fantastic spot starter this season. And he could be a starter next year at the right tackle position. And I think that's just absolutely incredible value out of a 4th-round rookie. Man, what a struggle it was for Royce Newman in 2022. Entering the year, he was one of our 2 starting guards, but it was quickly apparent that he was not the answer at his starting position. He really struggled in pass protection, giving up a ton of pressures on Rodgers, and looked completely lost out there. It all came to a head in a Week 6 matchup against the Jets, where he was benched after just absolutely being dominated by that Jets defensive line, which, granted, they are a really good unit, but you cannot be looking that lost out there. And then he did not make another start the rest of the season. Oline appearing in 3 games the rest of the way for injuries, and I would not be surprised if he is let go in this offseason, just because we have a lot of good depth and we don't really need him on the roster. Overall, I give him a grade of a D- because he just was that awful. Myers had a very good bounce back campaign from his rookie year, where he spent most of the year injured and was just unfortunately not able to be a part of that O-line. He started all 17 games for the Packers at center and was there for 100% of the snaps of the season, which is really, really good to have a nice young center who is healthy and be able to be out there. He only committed 2 penalties the whole season and was a very just solid starter. Doesn't do anything that blows you away in both run and pass blocking, but is not terrible at his job. Just a very good, solid piece on this line for the next couple of years. And I'm giving him a grade of B- to reflect that very solid nature. Jenkins started the season injured, missing the first 2 games of the year while still recovering from a knee injury. He came back in at Week 3 as a tackle due to David Bakhtiari still being relatively injured. But unfortunately, he really struggled in this role, giving up a good amount of pressures and looking not as great as he would in his more natural position of guard. But luckily for him, he was able to move back into that guard position once we got some other guys healthy and some rookies stepped up a little bit. And he definitely performed a whole lot better in his natural position. He played great the rest of the season and really helped stabilize the offensive line. Due to his early struggles, I can't grade him too high, but I am giving him a grade of B, as he was a very, very solid player, and he will be a Packer for a very long time, as he signed a 4-year, $68 million extension this season, and I'm looking forward to see him be an anchor for this unit. Josh Neiman played a lot this season, mostly at the tackle position, where he filled in for injuries for both Elton Jenkins and David Bakhtiari, and he was very solid in those positions for most of the season, except for the last 2 games when he went out with an injury against the Vikings. Can't really hold that too much against him. And after being bullied by Aiden Hutchinson in the early part of that Lions game, he was benched for Zach Tom. But he still had a good season overall, starting a career-high 13 games and appearing for 69% of the snaps, which is also a career high. But he also did commit 6 penalties, which is another career high. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Packers do with Neiman, as he is a free agent this offseason. They may look back to retain him, but it's also possible that they let him walk due to some young guys on the roster, like Zach Tom, for example, really appearing very, very strong. Overall, I give him a grade of C. After appearing in only one game in 2021, David was looking for a bounce back year in 2022. And he did appear in more games, but also missed some more time as well. He missed the first 2 games of the season, still recovering from his knee injury he suffered in the 2020 playoffs. And when he did make his debut in week 3, he was on a snap count until week 6 to make sure he was completely healthy to go. But when he started, he played in the vast majority of snaps until week 13, where he had his appendix removed because it burst on him, which is never good. And I was very disappointed in Packers social media people saying, "Oh, we need to trade him after his latest injury." Like, how is he supposed to prepare for his appendix giving out on him? It's something that happens to everyone eventually. It just so happened to be in the middle of the season for him, and he had no control over it. Anyway, but it was very clear when he was on that field how much better his offensive line played. Like, he is very clearly the anchor of that line and should hopefully have an excellent season in 2023 as he is going to be fully healthy for the first time since 2020 when he was an all-pro level left tackle. I'm giving him a grade of C+, mainly is just due to him missing so many games, but he was still one of the better offensive linemen on the team when he was healthy and out there. Runyon, much like Josh Myers, was just a very solid, dependable guard who was decent at both run and pass blocking. He also started all 17 games this season, appearing for 96% of snaps, while only committing 1 penalty. Just a very solid guard who looks to be a starter for next season as well. Doesn't really flash you too much, but doesn't ever disappoint you either. I give him a grade of a B-. So, if we do a quick little review of what we saw out of our team this year, the overall quarterback grade is C+. In the past, it has been a lot higher due to Rodgers just being that much of a dominant force. But with him starting to look like he slowed down a little bit, adjusting to the offense, that quarterback grade performance does go down compared to what I would have given it in 2021 or 2020. And the offensive line grade is also at a C+, mainly due to our 2 best players in Bakhtiari and Jenkins struggling with some performance and mainly due to injuries, and also for Royce Newman just being absolutely terrible. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys think, what you differ with, and overall continuing down this journey to see how the Packers did overall in 2020.